Hello and a warm welcome to another edition of To The Point. On the show this week, Senior Congress Leader and Rajya Sabha MP Kapil Sibal. Mr. Sibal, welcome on To The Point. Let me begin by asking you that Modi government completes its 3 years. What is your assessment over the past 3 years?
Well, let's look at it from a common man's point of view. Well, I look at it from my point of view. Take the agricultural sector, for example. In the agricultural sector, the frequency of suicides by farmers continues unabated. There were several schemes that were launched by this government in the agricultural sector. For example, the soil health card scheme. The targets were in several crores, 16 odd crores, and we're far below the target. If we really go around the country and find out which farmers have health cards, where their soil, most of them don't know about it. They talked about loan waiver in Uttar Pradesh before the elections. Now they've just forgotten about it. Most of the farmers in India, even today, rely upon rains for their crops. One drop for more crop scheme has not really moved forward. The Prime Minister had promised that after he became Prime Minister, he would give to the agricultural farmer 50% more than his cost. Right? He's forgotten about that. Now he says that by the next 5 years, he'll double the income of the farmer. So he's forgotten about his previous promise, and he is in fact talked about yet another promise. God alone knows when he'll fulfill it. So that's the agricultural sector. You talk about the medium and small scale sector, which is is really the backbone of the Indian economy. They're stagnant today. In fact, they've been most affected by the demonetization. The offtake of credit in this sector is minimal, hardly any. So they are in bad shape as well. You talk about big industry. In fact, the NPAs really relate to big industry. The total number of NPAs is now reached 11% of the total loan advances. And they can only restructure the loan. Now the responsibility has been given to the RBI to deal with NPAs.
Despite
no, I'm just giving you take any sector of the economy, and I can challenge. Job growth. The job growth has been abysmal, 1.1%. Right? This particular year, the number of jobs, he had promised 1 crore jobs per year. That's 10 to 12 million jobs per year. And what he's delivered last year was 1.35 lakh jobs, and this year it's over 2 lakh jobs. Education, expenditure on education is 2.9% of GDP. Expenditure on health is 1.40% of GDP. So the Manrega jobs have gone down. Though there's more outlay on Manrega, he says, but the Manrega jobs have gone down. So which sector of the economy is happy with him? I don't know. Rapes against women. You see, Delhi is perhaps the capital of India as far as the atrocities against women are concerned. Security, Kashmir. You tell me which sector. Foreign policy. I don't think that our neighbors, we've had such a nadir of relationship that we have today, both in terms of China, Pakistan, Nepal. Where has he succeeded?
But despite all these pointers which you have come out with as an assessment of the Modi government's governance schemes, why is it that still the majority of the people in the country enjoy the faith of the Modi government, and there are just subtle signs of desperation? We don't see very loud...
I think there are 2 or 3 things that have happened which have never happened in the past. You take, for example, the US media. Despite Trump having succeeded, the US media is in fact, the courts are staying the orders that he made on immigration. The media is very, very vocal in the opposition to Trump because they actually see the reality and they ask questions. Courts are very strong. Unfortunately, in this country, despite the reality which I've told you about, the media has collaborated. If you look at some of the channels that you see, they only talk about Modi, Modi, Modi. Now, how and why that has been done, I don't know. But that's something that saddens me. The courts, for example, also, recently I saw on a channel somebody making a presentation on this e-filing. And at the end of that was the caption, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. I'm saddened by that because I think that nowhere in the world does this happen.
But
and of course, he's a past master. He's a master of portraying government and what he's doing for the country in a manner, and he continues to sell that dream, which people are buying because people live on hope, and he sort of, and he exploits that desire to live on hope.
But how does opposition get its act together?
It hasn't. The opposition hasn't. And we need to get our act together. I think that we need a mass movement. We need all opposition parties to get together. We need a new idiom with which to attack him. We need to go out to the people and tell the truth about the reality of India.
But generally, the narrative which the opposition so far has been using to tar the Modi government is using the slurs of communalism, then talking about intolerance. But these factors don't cut much ice with the voters.
I don't know. I think that much of it has got to do with the fact that despite the fact that you take incidents of communalism, if you look at a newspaper on any given morning, the kind of incidents that we hear, that is in the print media, you know, we wonder what kind of country we're living in. People doing their trade are being attacked. The incident at Alwar recently, you're aware of what happened at Una, at Dadri, the violence, incidents of violence, even in Maoist areas have gone up. Sukma is a recent example. So, and the kind of intolerance that we are seeing now. In the social media, if something is said something about against Modi, immediately cases are foisted against him. So yes, you're right. Despite this, and this is not really, I mean, some news channels certainly talk about it, but despite this, he seems to have, through antics, he seems to have the faith of the people.
You just said that opposition needs to unite at the moment, but I don't see any signs of that happening.
Well, at the moment, you don't see any signs. That's why I said opposition needs to be united. If it were united, I would not make that statement.
No, but is it not high time that presidential elections are around the corner and that could have just happened?
Well, it is.
This was the right time.
It is high time.
So why is it not happening?
That I don't know. That I don't know. That's something that needs to be done. I think people are talking to each other. Political parties are talking to each other. Mamta ji came here, met Mrs. Gandhi. Other political leaders are also in the opposition are talking to each other. And I think that even BJD is worried about the fact as to what might happen through the pincer movement or Mr. Amit Shah. He seems to have all kinds of strategies up his sleeve. I think all opposition leaders are a bit worried. A recent outcry by Dalits against the atrocities committed themselves against them are also signs of a subterranean movement for parties to get together.
All parties are worried about whatever is happening, but still consensus eludes.
No,
is it because there is no consensus probably on who the main leader will be of the front?
That's possible. That's also possible. I cannot sort of give reasons why there is no real consensus, but I think the ground is ripe for a consensus.
Is it also a clash of egos? Because obviously Sonia Gandhi already has spoken to leaders like Mamta Banerjee. Nitish Kumar was supposed to be a front runner at some point of time. But then again, you know, the case seems to have diluted somewhere. Why is this kind of a slippery ground seen as far as the opposition is concerned?
Well, obviously, there is no agreement on a particular leader, and I'm sure that the opposition will get together and decide that.
But 3 years is high time. Like 2014, Modi government was formed. Don't you think that opposition also has lost a crucial time? Because now the opposition camp has started thinking as to what the narrative should be, because UP elections was supposed to be a game changer. People thought that BJP will not win, but the script totally changed.
No, I agree with you. It did change, and the reasons for Modi's victory in Uttar Pradesh can be attributed to many things. I want to talk about it today. But certainly he won a grand victory. Reasons may well be, something that we cannot possibly praise the manner in which the polity was divided. But be that as it may, I think the opposition needs to get together.
But would you not concede at this point of time, after 3 years, that there hasn't been a formidable leader like Narendra Modi so far?
I don't know what you mean by formidable. I mean, yes.
Judging it by the 3-year
lots of leaders in history were formidable at one point in time and were perceived to be formidable, but they were disastrous in the long term, from a long-term standpoint. And I can give you some examples.
No,
so yes, Modi is formidable, but whether he is good for India in the long term, I doubt it very much.
Why do you say that he would not be good for India in the long run?
Because of the kind of promises that he has made and the way in which he has led down the people of India. See, India is, they talk about India growing at 7.5%. The reality on the ground doesn't reflect that fact. You talk to any businessman, you talk to any industrialist, you talk to an armed vyapari, armed trader, you talk to a shopkeeper, he will tell you. Recently, many people came to me in the education sector saying all the reforms that were sought to be taken forward by us they're all being rolled back. The quota, for example, of ministers, the HRD ministry, I had abolished it. Now it's over 6,000. That's the kind of progress that we are seeing. Whether it's good for the country or not, even only time will tell.
But every opposition leader whom I meet, almost on a weekly basis, they tell me all these things which you have just pointed out in the interview, that they are aware of what is happening, job creation is not happening, foreign policy has gone wrong somewhere. All these pointers are there before all the opposition leaders. Still, why are the opposition leaders not able to take this issue at the grassroots level, tell the people that, look, this is what is happening and this is the reality of the present government?
I thought I already said that to you. This is what we need to do. Why they are not able to do it, you ask them. But we need to do this. And if you talk to any RSS person or BJP leader, just as the opposition leaders are criticizing Modi, they also internally criticize him. But publicly they will say he's a gift by God to India.
After UP elections, I remember National Conference leader Omar Abdullah, he had tweeted and said that it's time for the opposition to get ready for 2024, not 2019.
So what do you want me to say on that? You think that Modi thinks that he has won 2019? God help this country.
So if the opposition realizes that a fear is lurking somewhere, but then also the opposition cannot get its act together.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Abdullah, what he said. That's not our view. Well, maybe his view, but not our view, certainly.
But he might join the opposition plank if all the parties come together.
Good if he joins.
Okay, talking about what is happening in Congress. Basically, a party which enjoyed extreme dominance at one point of time, and since 2014, whichever election you see, whether it is the assembly election, whether it is the local election, electoral performance has just been a very drab affair for Congress. What has actually gone wrong with the party?
Oh, it's worrisome. The performance of the Congress, as a congressman, I feel worried. I feel upset. I hope and pray that we all sort of get together and revive. I'm not talking about the fortunes of the Congress, because I think fortunes is a matter of electoral victory. But the sense of sacrifice, the commitment to ideology, the reaching out to all congressmen in the country, getting all congressmen on one platform, ensuring that at the grassroots level the Congress worker is enthused, and then realizing that the Congress is not just a political party. The Congress is a phenomenon, was a phenomenon, was not just a national but a global phenomenon.
But
and I think that unless we revive that kind of sense of commitment in every congressman towards the Congress party, it worries me.
Who's going to do this?
Well,
Who's going to revive that kind of a confidence?
I mean, I have no answers for that, but that's for the party to do. And I am a worker of the party, a soldier of the party.
Right. But so far we've seen that the entire Congress organizational structure has always looked upon the Nehru-Gandhi family, and it has been just one, that glue which has bound all the people within Congress together. But Rahul Gandhi somewhere seems to have, lost that confidence, because everywhere you see, be it Manipur, be it Arunachal, be it Assam, everywhere the organizational structure of the party is being challenged.
I think you are, you see, you should not focus on an individual. An individual can do that much and no more. Somewhere down the line, the party and the party worker is not enthused. Why he is not enthused is something that the party has to analyze.
No, but if
so
you
I
see
don't think that you should take names and say that, look, Congress has done badly, therefore the blame lies at the doorstep of A, B, or C. I think that's not the blame lies at the doorstep of each one of us. That we've not risen to the occasion. That includes everybody.
Political observer and historian Ramchand Guha, after UP elections, or a little later, had said that Rahul Gandhi is almost like a serial failure because he has failed to rise to the wishes of the people, the way the congressmen within. There are a lot of internal factionalism within the party. People don't agree with each other, but still he has not been able to bring all those elements together and tell them that, look, I will lead the party from the forefront.
Mr. Guha is entitled to his view.
But when are we going to see Rahul Gandhi being elevated? Because everybody knows Sonia Gandhi is not keeping well. Time and again, she's falling ill. But what is it that is stopping people within the Congress or maybe within the family from elevating Rahul Gandhi?
I'm not the one to decide that. That's something that the party has to decide.
But you're a senior Congress leader.
How can I give an answer to that? I don't decide these issues.
But you don't think that... But as I asked you, that is it not a question of leadership at the moment?
Again, you're persuading me to say something that you want me to say. But you're not going to get that answer. Because I don't think you can put the blame of the recent failures of the Congress party at the doorstep of an individual.
Take the case of Manipur and Goa, for example. Congress had the numbers, but then also Congress failed to form the government.
I think the role of money power in many of these places, the role of using political clout, of buying off people, of whether it is Goa or it's Manipur or some other places. I think the BJP as a party uses it with, has an uncanny knack and also has the, what should I say, it's a no-holds-barred campaign for them. When they look at these things, their whole agenda is a Congress Mukt Bharat. They will do anything to destroy the Congress party, right? And therefore, anything is okay to achieve their ends. We are not like that. There's a difference. I mean, the Congress party is not like that. When we were in power, we never carried out the kind of agendas they're carrying out against the leadership, not just of the Congress party, but all opposition leaders. I think we were a far more tolerant, we were a far more inclusive form of government.
But when you say that BJP is trying to make the country Congress Mukt Bharat, they are fomenting exodus in almost all the states where people from your party are going and joining BJP. Yes. What is stopping the party from arresting this kind of a trend?
Well, as I said, once there is a trend, they use all kinds of methods to get people to them. It's not as if the whole party has gone to them. That's not quite true. Yes, there are incidents of people moving out, and as I know, when people are looking at their own future and see that, at the moment Modi is, popular, so why not sort of join the bandwagon? Lots of people do that. But some of us are committed ideologically.
But are you hinting at a fact that Congress at the moment is a sinking ship?
No, not it's again your opinion that it's a sinking ship. But the Congress party can never die, no matter how much you try, because the Congress party is not just a political party. In fact, it's a phenomenon. It's something that's necessary for India, because India cannot move forward with an ideology that divides people. India only can move forward with an inclusive ideology. I don't want to use the word secularism, because it's not a very popular word nowadays. But I think unless we show a sense of tolerance, show a sense of the people belonging to us, all people belonging to us, no matter which caste or creed or religion they come from, unless we really want sabka saath and sabka vikas, right? Not just as a phrase to attract people, but genuinely, I think then India will move forward.
In one of his recent interviews, BJP party president Amit Shah had said that they inherited a legacy of a pit from the UPA government, and they'll take years and years to fill that pit. How would you react to a statement like that?
I don't know who is pits in this case, who is going to fill that pit. Just take one example. Look at what they said about Aadhaar when this Prime Minister was in the opposition. He said that we would never embrace Aadhaar when we come to power. Now it's his flagship program, right? I talked about, building world-class universities. This political party opposed me tooth and nail in the Rajya Sabha. Now they're talking about world-class universities. Look at Manrega, what he said in Parliament about Manrega. Now they sort of say that it's a great scheme. Who is the pits? I don't know. They talk about corruption. The recent CVC has said that the corruption complaints in all departments of the government of India, and this is not my figure, CVC complaint, says that it has increased 67%. And they say, we're going to give you a corrupt Mukt Bharat. The CV says that the complaints against government departments has increased by 67%, and maximum in the railways. Right? So what is Mr. Shah talking about?
Mr. Sibal, more than 30 politicians of different parties, they have been raided, they have been searched by various investigating agencies. Do you believe that there is some kind of a witch hunt against all the opposition leaders?
No, I think what they're doing is, and they're doing very successfully, the CBI was referred to as a caged parrot, if you remember. But now the CBI and the government are one. It's no longer a caged parrot, it is part of government. Whatever the government wants, the CBI does. So if you want to destroy the opposition, and that's the fear that I have, that not through democratic means, but using the long arm of the state, whether it's the CBI or the ED, Enforcement Directorate, if you do that, naturally you will destroy opposition, because you will put fear in the minds of people, right? And people ordinarily want to live their lives peacefully. They don't want any intrusion by the government. They don't want the government to look over their shoulders. Bureaucrats in this country don't want to talk, even on the telephone, to anybody. They say, okay, we'll come to you personally and talk. We won't talk on the telephone. The ordinary businessman says, look, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to be raided tomorrow. The income tax authorities are actually extracting money from people through the raids that they are conducting. In fact, there are, in a sense, people privately conducting raids, right, against people belonging to the income tax department. I've heard sort of incidents of that, without even authorization sometimes, though they have the authorizations papers ready, so if somebody questions them. So this is a very, very worrisome trend that I'm seeing for the first time.
Does it impact the credibility of investigative agencies like CBI or ED?
Well, you ask why don't you ask somebody on the, opinion of people who know something about the system? They'll give you the answer. Who is credible in this country anymore? Only Mr. Modi. They are all otherwise controlled by him.
So, again, my answer before I wrap up the show is that who will be the credible alternative for Modi?
Time will tell. You will see. There's nothing called a vacuum in politics.
But at the moment, any names you can think of across the states?
Anybody can come up.
Even Mr. Sibal?
Oh, please.
Thank you. Wish you all the best, Mr. Sibal. So that's it on this episode of To The Point. See you next time with another personality. Goodbye and thanks for watching.